Hello, and welcome to this overview of how we dispatch evacuation teams using Shelterly. Please bear with me as I navigate between my PowerPoint, my cue cards, my breathing, and my Shelterly program itself. Remember, we're all volunteers in this. Here's what we're going to cover. The phases, the teams, the essentials, and the obvious. I'll do a demonstration of basic dispatch functions using Shelterly at the end. Well, this is kind of detailed. No one expects you to memorize all of this and run dispatch in the next incident. This is all just part of Shelterly training so users understand how all the databases are connected. In order to understand the Shelterly dispatch module, you need to understand NAVDAG's dispatching process. When there is an incident, there is plenty of written material to help jog your memory about how to use Shelterly. This recording is to help you know about dispatching. There are three basic phases of an evacuation. And there's the initial evacuation order phase and any subsequent evacuation orders. This is the most stressful. The number of service requests is highest. The evacuation teams are spending a lot of time looking for and trying to catch animals for evacuation. It's the most stressful. The second phase is the worst is over phase. That's the period when the fire is past, but before the order can be lifted, work has to be done to remove dangers like downed power wires and damaged roads, and while they search for missing people. In this phase, hotline calls have calmed, most evacuation team work is shelter in place, and the teams have good visit notes on where to find addresses, feed, and animals. There are often a lot of addresses to get to, and the oddball stuff still pops up, but overall it's much calmer. Then there's our cleanup phase. That's when the order is lifted. The dispatch and evac teams call owners to make sure they're headed home and we can stop work on their service request. We then put the animals in a status of reunited. All volunteers take part in mobilization. That is, we work with animal control on unclaimed animals. We clean up, we clean the trailers, we put away supplies, we restock, and we prepare for the next incident. For all NAVDAG functions, the initial evacuation order and any subsequent orders are the hardest. Obviously, it's the most stressful and potentially traumatic. Let's talk about the dispatch team, which in shorthand we just refer to as dispatch. The team actually consists of three positions: the dispatcher, the whiteboard WhatsApp monitor, and the radio operator. The team can have more than 3 people performing the functions, especially during the first few days. So, the radio operator. The radio operator talks to and stays in contact with evacuation teams in the field using our radio frequency. By the way, we usually use a secure frequency so the public can't hear what's being said. We count on the radio operator to relay all information to the teams in the field. Next, we have the whiteboard WhatsApp monitor. The whiteboard WhatsApp monitor posts team contact, equipment, and location information on a whiteboard and monitors the WhatsApp channels for issues and changes that we need to be aware of. As teams check in, this person updates the whiteboard with the time and the activity. For example, time 13:20, status arrived, meaning at 1:20 in the afternoon, the team arrives at the address. WhatsApp groups can include hotline, evacuation, key people, and any other on-the-fly groups that we set up. This person works with the dispatch team to be sure changes that hotline posts on WhatsApp are seen by the dispatcher and animals or service requests are canceled or edited as necessary. They're also reading aloud important response information to be sure everybody on the team gets the information. The dispatcher, working with the evacuation lead, prioritizes and assigns service requests to teams, which creates dispatch assignments. For the rest of the day, the dispatcher has eyes glued to the deploy team screen, watching for service requests being entered by hotline operators. People are calling hotline all day, so even though the evacuation teams have gotten their dispatch assignments and are out in the field, it's possible adjustments will need to be radioed to them. The dispatcher is also the one who will cancel an animal or a service request and make a note as to why. The team works out of our communications trailer. Ordinarily, the evacuation teams in the comms trailer are in the same place, which we refer to as staging, because that's where evacuation stages for assignments. The dispatch team has some essential functions. Here they are. Number 1, don't lose your teams. Evacuation teams check in when they arrive and leave an address. There is also a prearranged time period for evacuation teams to check in and assure the radio operator they are safe. If the radio operator doesn't hear from the team within that time period, the radio operator will radio the team. If no answer, they will call the team's cell phone numbers. If no answer, they will either get a nearby team to stop what they're doing and go look for the team, or worst case, we'll call the sheriff and send deputies to look for the team. Another essential function is to prioritize animals and service requests. It's common to have more need than resources, especially in the first few days. The Park Fire had 102 service requests with over 350 animals within the first 48 hours. The dispatcher juggles teams, equipment available, animals, and geography to assure no animal is left unchecked for too long. Every fire is different. Sometimes this is easier said than done. Function number 3, deal with urgent animal needs urgently. Shelterly has a service request animal status of urgent. These animals have to be attended to ASAP. And then finally, the team needs to assure all evacuation teams are back at staging before closing up for the night. Evacuation teams are rarely allowed to work when it's dark. We only evacuate during daylight hours. Now, I am going to go through a Shelterly dispatch demonstration. Recognize that for demonstrations and trainings, we put up 10 or 12 service requests, but in real life, there'll be 10 times that. Again, for the Park Fire, at the end of day 2, we had 102 addresses with over 350 animals. Frequently, at the start of an incident, we only have 6 to 8 teams available. Plus, we have to wait for the approval from the sheriff to go behind the evacuation order road closure. We go when the fire has either not arrived or when it has blown through. We don't go into active fire. So you can imagine how easily service requests pile up. The dispatcher, working with the evacuation lead, needs to prioritize calls in order to achieve the best outcomes. Now, first, let's have a penetrating look at the obvious about Shelterly. Shelterly is a remarkable software program, and it keeps us from losing animals and gives a lot of useful information. When you sign into Shelterly, you need to go slow and pay attention to what you're doing. If you don't, you have the ability to totally mess things up and cause us to lose animals. The most important instruction I can give you is this. Shelterly can run slow. Have patience when using the program and avoid random clicking because that's how errors happen. If you do come across an error or you lose an animal or something just doesn't look right, stop. Avoid compounding the error. There are plenty of volunteers who can troubleshoot the situation. Find help, and if necessary, hand the problem to them to fix. Document errors and fixes in animal notes or the service request notes or the visit notes or the owner notes or the field instruction notes. Just get them documented somewhere. And some things can't be fixed by us, and we'll need to contact the Shelterly programmers to make the fix. Now, if you've drifted off to sleep, know that written material is available. A NAVDAG quick reference guide is available on our website. It is a NAVDAG customized version of the CalCARTS quick reference guide and will be helpful in regard to icons and the steps to take. Find it on our website under Tools and Training, shown as NAVDAG Shelterly Training. Here are some basics. The dispatch team, like all of NAVDAG, defers to the policy of the authority having jurisdiction during our response. Butte County Animal Control is the AHJ for animals. The sheriff is our AHJ for crossing into evacuation order zones. The Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, has jurisdiction over the response. We're just there to help. We defer to instructions and policy from the folks in charge. Another is always pay attention. Are conditions improving or getting worse? The Animal Operations Chief and Animal Branch Director work closely with dispatch to assure safety for people and animals. Field teams may be limited in the areas they're permitted to enter. Advance permission may be needed for every single address. Dispatchers evaluate each service request carefully. Look at the animal quantity and species. Which team has the skills and equipment? Looking at shelter in place versus evacuation. Is there enough room to transport all the animals? Do you have enough food? Always read instructions for field teams. Here you may find a unique situation that requires a unique response. And then finally, look at the follow-up date. It appears in red if the date is in the past. Has the animal been left without care for a dangerous length of time? All right, that's it. Let's go. Welcome to Shelterly, our animal disaster management program. Note we are recording version 0.8.4C. As programmers make changes, they change the version number. This is where you can look and see which version you're using. By now, everybody's familiar with the basics, so let's just dive into the dispatch module. Of course, you have signed in and you have confirmed you are in the right incident. The dispatch team needs access to evacuation zone maps. You get them from Watch Duty or the sheriff's website. I'm confident this summer we will be able to have a Watch Duty map overlay to identify evacuation orders versus warning areas, but I don't have it for this demonstration. The dispatcher needs to run a test to make sure the computer is printing to the printer, that the print is clean, and that you've got a nice supply of paper, ink, and staplers nearby. If possible, have a backup printer because you're going to be printing a ton of paper dispatch assignments. So here we go. We're going to click the dispatch module. The first map that you see shows all the service requests assigned to an active dispatch assignment. And the active dispatch assignments are listed here on the right side, along with the team that they were assigned to. At the bottom of the map is a legend defining what those dots mean. So remember, the red dots mean that the animal is reported. We have a report that there's an animal there, but nobody has actually been to the address to confirm the existence or the condition of the animal. A yellow dot means animals are being sheltered in place at that location. A blue dot means we have gone to the address but have been unable to locate, UTL, the animal. The team left food and water and will go back on the follow-up date to look again. We'll go back a couple of times. If it becomes apparent the animal won't be found, then working with the evacuation lead, the decision will be made to change its status to no further action, which closes further action on that animal. The owner will need to be advised that unless something changes, we won't keep looking. A black dot means it's an operation. There's no animal involved. It's likely that we are leaving food for the neighborhood, or we're checking a camera, or maybe checking a trap. The brown dot with the X means one of the animals at that address is being sheltered at the larger small animal shelter. When the dispatch assignment is resolved, the dots will change to reflect the current field need or will disappear because the animal is no longer being managed in the field. So next, we're going to select Deploy Teams. This map shows all of the service requests waiting for assignment. The map can be changed with filters or by zooming in and out by using the plus or minus icons. Below the map is a list of open service requests shown on the map, each with symbols with pertinent information about the service request. This is the Holy Grail where all the open service requests reside. So when you have more service requests than you can assign to available teams, sort the service request list by priority using the sort icon next to the filter icon. So here is the sort icon, and you want to switch it to priority, sort by priority rather than follow-up date. You do this so that if Hotline enters an urgent service request today, it will automatically pop to the top of the list and you'll see it. So this list right now is sorted by priority first and then by follow-up date. If you forget to change the sort, the default sort is follow-up date first, then priority, then service request number. Another tool that the dispatcher has is that by zooming in and out of the map, it can change the service requests listed below the map. So right now, with 3 dots, 4 dots on the map, you'll see I've only got 4 service requests listed. Okay, let's assign service requests to dispatch assignments and get these teams out in the field. So the first thing the dispatcher does is review the service requests. Consider your teams, your vehicles, the skills of your team. Dispatch decisions are based on a combination of priorities and how long the animal's been unattended, the vehicles available, and the geography that a team will have to cover. Always read the instructions to field teams, which are identified with the clipboard. So let's talk icons and information. Looking at this list of open service requests awaiting field assignment, we see a quantity and a species, a status. So in this case, both animals are reported with an evacuation requested. In this case, there's an urgent priority. We will also see that an ACO, an animal control officer, is requested. We're seeing there is an injured animal here. It's easy enough to get to the address. A trailer can turn around, and then here's the big deal. Here's the explanation, the field instructions. So this one's saying the fire is an hour away. Whoops. The dog and bird are in the house, how you get in the house. The dog just had surgery. You'll have to carry the dog, get an ACO to help. Next, we have the service request. If you click on this, you can go directly to the final page of the service request. It's also giving you the number. Here is the follow-up date, which is either the date the service request was entered or a follow-up date that was set after a shelter in place or an unable to locate. Next is the address. The little bullseye there is showing a 1 mile radius around the address. The little person icon shows that there is an owner. If there was not an owner, there would be a slash through the person. And then if we need to assign this service request to an outstanding dispatch assignment, this is how we would do it. Using all these tools, the quantity, the species, the dates, whether an ACO is needed or the animal's injured, taking into consideration things like the location of the fire, the remaining hours of daylight. With all this, the dispatcher assigns service requests to evacuation teams. So let's do it. To create a dispatch assignment, you click on the box next to the service request, or you can click on the icon on the map. The map icon will turn green and the service request will show in the top left-hand window under Selected. You click the box for every service request you want to assign to a single team. Next, you assign the team members to that dispatch assignment. So in this case, we need to have an ACO. So here's Anna Longhair. We also need to have somebody strong who can help carry the dog out. So we're going to assume that Charlie Setter is strong. So once you've got your team members assigned, you're going to click Deploy. And the next thing that comes up is your dispatch assignment summary. So we've got summary, it's dispatch assignment number 13. Right now we need to edit the team. In future releases, this is going to change, but for right now we need to go in and edit the team. We're going to call this, so this is team 4. And we know that because that's their name on the whiteboard that indicates that they've got an ACO among this team. So we have edited the team name. The dispatcher is going to take one last look at the field instructions to make sure we've got this assigned to the right people. And assuming everything is good, using the drop-down menu, we are going to print the dispatch assignment as a PDF. So this is where on your computer you want to know where it pops up. Here's where mine is. And then I will print it. And this is what it's going to look like. It's urgent priority, so that's going to be in red. The first page of the dispatch assignment is just a summary of all the animals, and then the following pages list every service request. In this case, again, because this is urgent, we've only got an hour to get there, this will be a standalone. When the evacuation team finishes, they'll make notes about what their results were, whether they sheltered in place, whether it was unable to locate, whether it went to the shelter, reunited, deceased, and how they found the animal, any visit notes that are needed by future teams, how they contacted the owner, and how that conversation with the owner went. But for now, for the dispatcher, all he or she is going to do is move on now to their next dispatch assignment, creating the next dispatch assignment, which could be a cat and another cat. Now, when the dispatcher is finished assigning all the dispatches to all the available teams, the dispatcher will create a summary report of the assignments and give that to the radio operator. Often the choice will be to report on the service request number instead of the address, and that'll be something that'll be decided between the evacuation teams and the radio operator. Now, as the teams leave staging, they'll do a radio check with the radio operator. The whiteboard monitor will be listening and will document the team, the time, the status of en route, and either the address or the service request number where they're headed. As the day progresses, the dispatch team will be busy monitoring the radio, documenting the check-in times, and dealing with the multitude of issues that come up during the day. And these can include adding additional service requests to teams. They may be following the fire behavior. There could be special cases where there's an injured animal, and of course, new evacuation teams that come on, getting them assigned service requests. So that's the basic process for using Shelterly for dispatch. The next part is the dispatch resolution, where we ask and get the specific information from the evacuation team about what happened. We enter the information into Shelterly and then resolve all the dispatch assignments before closing out the day. We'll do a separate video and training on that, and that'll be coming soon. So thank you for watching this training video on dispatch and using Shelterly for dispatch.